Hey, I'm your storyteller. I'd love to know where you're watching from. You can tell me in the comments section. When you are ready, lean back, and let's dive into this week's horror stories. Every year our grade went on this overnight camping trip out in the woods. Just for a couple of nights, we'd sleep in wooden cabins, go on group hikes, and do team building stuff. It was the type of trip the teachers hyped up as a bonding experience, but most of us just saw it as an excuse to hang out without parents around. The cabins were arranged in 2 rows, facing each other with a dirt path running between them. Ours was at the far end. They were all numbered, but they looked almost identical. Small, one-room wooden shacks with 6 bunks each. By the second night, everyone was restless, sneaking around after lights out, daring each other to go into the woods or swap cabins. That night, my plan was to meet a couple of my friends in one of the middle cabins. We'd talked earlier about sneaking in after the teachers did their last patrol to hang out and maybe playing cards until we got caught and sent back. It was past midnight when I slipped out. The path was dark. The only light was coming from a few weak lanterns hung near the mess hall in the distance. I tried to move quietly, sticking close to the shadows so none of the chaperones would spot me. When I got to the row of cabins, I counted them in the dim light. 1, 2, 3. That was supposed to be it. I saw the faint glow of a flashlight inside and assumed it was my friends waiting. I eased the door open and slipped in. The first thing I noticed was the smell. It wasn't musty like the other cabins, or like sweat and bug spray. It was sharp and metallic. The closest thing I can compare it to is pennies, or blood. I hesitated in the doorway, but the glow of the flashlight pulled me further in. The bunks looked different, messier. Blankets crumpled, mattresses askew. It didn't look like anyone was sleeping there. It looked like the room had been torn apart in a hurry. "Guys?" I whispered. No answer. I took another step in, and that's when the door shut behind me. I spun around and grabbed the handle, but it wouldn't budge. It felt locked from the outside. My pulse spiked instantly. I tugged harder, rattling it, but it didn't move. Then I heard breathing behind me. It was coming from the back corner of the cabin. I stood completely still, straining my eyes in the dark. The flashlight was lying on one of the bunks, pointed at the wall, so the rest of the room was swallowed in shadows. My brain scrambled for an explanation. Maybe one of my friends thought this was funny, or maybe I really had walked into the wrong cabin. "Hello?" I said. The breathing stopped. For a second, it was dead silent. Then, the mattress on the lower bunk creaked. I panicked and started banging on the door, calling out, "Hey, open up!" But no one could hear me. Then, in the corner of my eye, I caught some movement. A shadow peeling itself away from the dark at the back of the cabin. I pounded the door until my fists hurt. I shouted until my throat burned. Finally, I heard footsteps outside. Then the handle turned, and the door swung open so fast I nearly fell through it. It was one of the teachers holding a flashlight, his face twisted in annoyance. "What the hell are you doing out here?" I spun back toward the cabin, ready to point, to explain what I'd just seen. But the room was empty. The bunks were neat. The flashlight I thought I saw was gone. Even the smell had vanished. The teacher marched me back to my actual cabin, lecturing me the whole way about breaking curfew. I didn't say a word. The next morning I tried to figure out which cabin I'd gone into, but none of them looked the same as what I remembered. They were all normal, just kids' stuff, backpacks, sleeping bags. Nothing out of place. To this day, I still don't know if I mixed up the cabin numbers or wandered somewhere I shouldn't have, but I'll never forget the sound of that breathing in the dark, or the way the shadow moved when it realized I wasn't supposed to be there. Because whoever, or whatever, was in that room, they weren't one of us. Back in college, I signed up for this outdoor recreation class because I thought it would be an easy credit. A few hikes, some journals, and one big camping trip in the mountains at the end. That trip is where things got weird. I wasn't really the outdoors type, but the first day was fine. There were about 15 of us plus 2 instructors. We hiked all day, set up camp by a stream, and cooked dinner together. Later that night, a few of us got restless and decided to sneak off for a walk. It was me, my roommate Tyler, and 2 girls from our group, Jess and Mariah. We didn't bother telling the instructors. We knew they'd lecture us about safety. At first it was fun, just walking down the trail, joking around, but it got dark fast. Even with the moon, it felt way darker than we expected, and before long the trail didn't look familiar anymore. Tyler pulled out his phone for GPS, but of course there was no signal. That's when Jess pointed out a light ahead of us. Through the trees, we saw this faint yellow glow. We thought maybe the instructors were out with lanterns, so we headed toward it. But when we got there, it wasn't a flashlight at all. It was this old-fashioned glass oil lantern hanging from a branch. None of us had brought lanterns, and the instructors definitely didn't pack something like that. We should have turned back right then, but instead, we spotted another glow a little farther down the trail. Then another. Each time we reached one, another appeared just far enough ahead to keep us moving. It was creepy, but somehow walking toward the lights felt safer than turning back into total darkness. Eventually, the lanterns led us into a clearing. The last one was hanging from a wooden post stuck in the ground. Beyond that was nothing, just pitch-black woods. That's when Mariah finally whispered, "This isn't right. We need to go back." So we turned around and realized every lantern we had followed was gone. The trail was still there, but it was completely dark. Tyler swore under his breath, and just as we started arguing about what to do, the lantern on the post began flickering. We all froze, watching it sputter until finally it went out. And in that split second of blackness, I swear I heard footsteps. Not ours, not animals. Slow, deliberate footsteps circling just outside where we stood. That was enough. We ran. Forget the trail. We ran through the trees, tripping over roots, getting smacked by branches until finally we saw the campfire in the distance. The instructors were still awake, just sitting there like nothing was wrong. When we told them about the lanterns, they looked confused and said, "There's no one else out here." The next morning, we tried retracing where we thought we'd gone, but there were no lanterns, no wooden post, just trees. I didn't say anything more about it, but that night, lying in my sleeping bag, I thought I heard footsteps again. Slow, steady, pacing right outside camp. After that, none of us left camp after dark. Hey, so this actually happened to me during a college field trip last fall. I've been meaning to share it because it still freaks me out whenever I think about it. It was the last night of a 3-day biology expedition in this state forest a few hours from campus. Our group had set up camp near a stream, and most people were hanging around the fire or in their tents. Me and my friends, Tyler and Hannah, decided to take a short walk before bed, just stretching our legs, wandering the edges of the clearing. It was already pretty dark. The moon was low, barely lighting the trail, and our flashlights barely helped. At first it was fun. We were joking around, pointing out animal tracks, being idiots. But then we noticed movement between the trees. "Do you guys see that?" Hannah whispered. A few feet away, maybe 30 yards down the trail, there were other kids, around our age I'd guess, standing just off the path. They looked like they were part of another group at first, but we knew no one else was supposed to be in the woods with us. "Hey," one of them called out, stepping into the moonlight. "You shouldn't be out here alone." "Come with us, Tyler." And I laughed. Probably a joke, right? Hannah suggested we just turn around and head back to camp, but curiosity got the better of us. The kids started walking slowly down a side trail, glancing back like they wanted us to follow. Against my gut, we did. We followed them for maybe 10 minutes. "Maybe we should head back," I said quietly. Tyler nodded, and even Hannah seemed uneasy. But when I looked over at the kids, they were gone. Just gone. Not running off, not hiding behind a tree. It was like they had never existed. We stood completely still, scanning the darkness for any sign of them. All we could hear was the wind through the trees, the occasional snap of a twig somewhere far away, and for the first time I realized how completely isolated we were. Panic set in. We tried to retrace our steps, but everything looked different in the dark. Every tree, every shadow, every patch of undergrowth seemed unfamiliar. We started shouting for help, hoping someone at camp would hear. We stuck together, moving slowly, trying not to trip over roots or fall into a ditch. After what I think was 20 minutes, we finally stumbled onto a small clearing. I recognized it. It was just 100 feet from our tents, but the walk back felt endless. My legs were shaking the whole way. When we finally got back, everyone else was asleep or sitting around the dying fire like nothing had happened. We didn't say a word about the kids in the woods. Nobody asked, and honestly, I don't think I wanted them to. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, as it shows the YouTube algorithm that you enjoy my content. I'll see you next week for another horror story video.